Cheryl Richardson, and it's that time of the week again where I'm here to host a live coaching session here on Facebook. So if you would like to have me answer a question or give you some coaching or some guidance, maybe share a resource or something like that, I'm here to do that for you. So I'm going to start just by welcoming a few people. If you can see me and hear me just fine, do me a favor and just give me a heart or a thumbs up so I know this is working, although it looks like it's working this time. I've finally figured out, I think I figured out what was going on in my office that was kicking me off of Facebook Live. So thank you everybody. Hi Kisa. Thank you. Thanks everybody. Anna, hi Anna from Newfoundland. Great to have you here. And Helen. Hi Helen, welcome. Rachel, welcome. It's, hi Claire, hi from the UK, thanks, hi Claire, hi Nancy from sunny New Hampshire. I know, it's sunny here. It was beautiful. This is the first day that I was able to just go out on the deck and just lay out in the sun for about 10 minutes just to get some vitamin D and to enjoy the beautiful, just the beautiful weather. It's really lovely. So I'm Cheryl Richardson. I'm a coach. I've been a coach for a long time, and I've written lots of books about the work that I do with clients, that I used to do with clients, and also the teachings that I've done over the years about how to improve your quality of life. So some of my books are about getting a handle on your outer life. Take Time for Your Life and Life Makeovers are two of the books that help you to kind of reclaim your power from a busy outer life. And Stand Up for Your Life was more about emotional well-being, developing confidence and self-esteem, and just building a strong character. The Unmistakable Touch of Grace is about honoring our spiritual life and really practicing good, nurturing self-care around our spiritual life. And then The Art of Extreme Self-Care was a book that I wrote because I had to remind myself of the importance of self-care as I was going through a difficult time in my own life. So anyway, yeah, I've been working with people for a long time, and I've been working with myself on my own life for a long time, and I write a lot I share a lot of my own experience as well as the experiences that I've had. I've learned a lot from clients that I've worked with. So I'm here to help you. Once a week I like to try and hop onto Facebook Live and offer some coaching. So if you are struggling with something, if you're just confused about something in your life, it could be business related or career. You know, I started my coaching as a business coach, and I worked with entrepreneurs and CEOs who were building companies. I had my early background was in tax accounting, so I was a tax consultant and really understood numbers and strategic planning and growing a business, and that's where I began. And then it wouldn't be until a few years later that I would wind up on the Oprah Winfrey Show with my book, Take Time for Your Life, and suddenly was now teaching to a broader audience, moving away from business and more into working with just the general public. Although I love business, still do. I'm an angel investor. I like to invest in companies through a group that I belong to. So sometimes we kind of go back a little bit in life to the things that we love as we get older, and I've certainly done some of that as well. Hi, Randy. Thank you. So you know what? Yes, I remember you, Randy, and every time I see you around, I think of sweet Debbie Ford, my darling Debbie Ford. And hi, Cheryl from Ontario, Canada, and Susan from Florida, St. Pete. Boy, do I wish I was in Florida last weekend when it was blizzard here on Saturday again. Hi, Scott. Thank you so much for saying I'm smart. Give me a chance. I might prove you wrong. Hi, Karen and Tatum and Alice. Alice, let's just start with you. Alice says she's been struggling with a lack of sleep. Can you suggest anything, please? Yeah, you know, the first thing I think about, and I've been there too, Alice, where I went through a period where I was really having a tough time sleeping. And of course, then you wind up anxious about not sleeping, which then just makes not sleeping all the more prevalent, right? Because you're laying in bed and thoughts are racing through your head and you're looking at the clock and you're wondering if you're ever going to fall asleep. So there's a few things I would say, Alice. You know, I've talked here before. As a matter of fact, I think last week's Facebook Live, I talked about good sleep hygiene and some of the things we can do to get a better night's sleep, which is so important. It is such a powerful, important act of self-care to make sure that you're getting the kind of sleep that you need. And I would encourage you to go back, Alice, and maybe take a look at last week's Facebook Live where I talk about hygiene. But you know, I've been coaching a long time, and I also trust my intuition because I've been. I think you really develop a strong intuitive sense when you have a lot of experience behind you, and so intuitively, what I want to say to you, Alice, is I think it would be really smart for you to consider having a look at your cortisol levels, the stress hormones in the body. Sometimes what happens is that our cortisol levels are off, and they kick in the middle of the night when you wake up. I mean, I've said this before, from about midnight on, generally speaking, the wake-up hormones start to come online and gradually and slowly wake us up. So that's why it's tough if you wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning and you have a hard time getting back to sleep because the wake-up hormones are already activated. But if our cortisol levels, for example, if you've been under stress for a while, Alice, if something stressful has happened in the last year or 2 years, and if you do find that you're waking up with thoughts racing through your head, it may be that there's adrenal fatigue going on or something's going on with your body's cortisol levels, and you may want to get some support for that. Seeing a great naturopath, functional medicine doc, I always recommend doctors like that because they tend to treat, they do treat the whole person, the whole system. They don't just look at one particular thing, but they look at the whole system of the body. You may want to take a look at your adrenals just to see what's going on. And you can do that by meeting with a naturopath who's going to ask you a whole bunch of questions. I remember in my mid-40s when I was like pedal to the metal, my career was in full tilt, I was traveling a lot, I was doing the Oprah show every other week. I was really, really running on adrenaline a lot, Alice. And looking back, I couldn't have dealt with my sleep issues and some of the other physical issues that I had I not had somebody look systemically at what was going on. My DHEA levels were really low. I had them tested. I had my cortisol levels tested, not by blood, but through saliva, and was able to see that, when my cortisol levels were supposed to be calm, they were cranked up. And so if we don't, sometimes in order to support the mind in quieting, we have to support the body first. Just like getting the mind quiet supports the body in calming down, it goes both ways. So in the meantime, I would absolutely, no caffeine after like 3 o'clock, maybe even if you're really sensitive to caffeine, I am. Better to not have it after noontime. Go to bed earlier than you think. I say this every week, I think, and every week I say, I forgot to bring a set of prayer beads down here, but going to bed with a set of prayer beads or mala beads, 108 beads, and just for every bead, just name something you're grateful for. You could say a prayer with every bead. You could affirm something, affirm an intention that you have. My body is deeply relaxed. My body is deeply relaxed. I allow my body to relax. The other thing that works really great, Alice, is tapping. And especially in the middle of the night, if you just tap the karate chop spot and you say, even though I can't get to sleep, I love and accept myself. Even though I may never get to sleep, I love and accept myself. Even though I'm afraid I'll be up all night, I love and accept myself. Even though I always have a hard time sleeping, I love and accept myself. I'm trying to think of some things that you might be thinking when you're struggling with sleep. And then you can just go through the tapping points. I'll do them with you right now so you'll have it here. So you can just say, this difficulty sleeping, this anxiety I feel, my body won't relax. I just can't get to sleep. I can't sleep. My body is too awake. My mind is too busy. This anxiety about sleeping. And you can just keep doing rounds like that, and then eventually you can do feeling peaceful and calm, allowing my body to relax. Watch, I'm going to do this with all of you. You'll see Alice. And I'll probably start yawning. So this will be good for everybody around, I'll do it around peace and anxiety and sleep. So let's all tap together. This is the karate chop spot. And we'll tap on sleep for Alice. Even though I have a hard time sleeping, I love and accept myself. Even though I'm afraid I won't sleep, I love and accept my fear. Even though my body won't relax and allow me to sleep, I choose to feel peaceful and calm. I can't get to sleep. All this anxiety about sleeping. My body can't seem to relax. This worry I have about sleeping. What if I never sleep? What if my body can't relax? This trouble that I have with sleeping, top of the head. This anxiety I have about sleeping. Feeling peaceful and calm. Feeling deeply relaxed. Feeling ready to sleep. Feeling peaceful and calm. You could just say that, by the way, Alice. Feeling peaceful and calm. Feeling so ready to sleep. Feeling restful and relaxed. Top of the head. Feeling peaceful and calm. And then you can just take a breath. And Alice, you can just keep doing those rounds over and over again. And you'll probably find, like I could feel myself right now. Like I could just be like, okay, I could just lay my head down and go to sleep. Because it does. It relaxes you. So give that a try. And think about seeing, if you've not seen a naturopath or a functional medicine doc, just have your adrenals checked out. B complex vitamins are important. But again, I'm not a doctor and I'm not prescribing anything. But seeing a good naturopath, they can prescribe some great supplements that are going to support the adrenal system, support cortisol levels. It could be, Alice, I don't know how old you are, if you're heading toward menopause or in menopause, it could be a bit hormone related. I would check out Chris Northrup's website. Just go to Dr. I think it's drnorthrup.com. and look to see if she has a search button, which she probably does, and you can search for sleep and read about that. She also has a wonderful product. I've not tried it, but a close friend of mine, Amada, I don't know enough about it, so I can't speak about it yet, but I am going to learn about it because I have a very dear friend who says it's been like a miracle cure for her. And I know, Alice, that she was having trouble sleeping. So Amada, A-M-A-T-A. You can find it on Chris Northrup's site. I hope that's helpful. Okay. So Suzanne says, I lost my job before Christmas last year. I'm now qualified as a life and wellness coach and an NLP practitioner, which is neuro-linguistic programming, the study of how our mind thinks, how we communicate, how we take in information and relay information. And I'm struggling to get going while looking for a job. It's a rough gig. Yeah, Suzanne, if you don't have a job yet that provides you with a consistent source of income, then I would recommend that you focus on just getting the job first. Don't worry about building the practice yet. I would put all of your energy into finding the job. The other thing I'll do for you, Suzanne, is if you send an email to Nicole, so it's Nicole, Nicole, no, let's do this. Send it to Chris at CherylRichardson.com. So C-H-R-I-S, Chris at CherylRichardson.com. Suzanne, I have a practice building program that I did many years ago that's available. It's no longer available on CDs, but it's available as a digital download. I'll give you that as a gift, and you can listen to that. It talks about exactly what I did as a coach to build a referral-generated practice where eventually I didn't have to do any marketing. People just came to me and I had a wait list. So I would be happy to give you that as a gift, and that would be helpful. I'd rather you study that while you're looking for a full-time job so that once you get the full-time job, then you can begin to implement some of what I talk about in that program. It's very comprehensive, everything from how to get started with the client, the right forms to use, how to keep track of things financially, the best things that I did to build a practice, how I built a practice over time. So I think that that would be helpful for you, Suzanne. But focus on getting the job first, and make sure, this is true for everybody looking for a job. I just had a conversation with somebody, a little kind of mini coaching session with somebody at my gym not too long ago, last week. You want to make sure that your resume is done right, that you know how to interview, that you know some of the basic best steps for landing a job. This woman in particular had interviewed for a job that she really wanted, but she never sent a thank you note afterwards. She never let them know that she was really excited and, anxious to hear about the job. She just didn't know any better. And I have a sneaking suspicion that the reason they didn't contact her, because they were so hot on her when she was there, and then they kind of went cool. And I suspect that she just didn't follow some basic professional protocols that need to happen when you're looking for a job. So Suzanne, you want to make sure you know how to interview well, how to put forth a really good resume, and how to follow up after you've had a job interview. So that's also really important. But send an email to Chris, and I'll get you a copy of the coaching practice building workshop. Duh, that's what it's called, the practice building workshop. Okay, let's see. So Roxanne is saying she's got the full-time job, but she wants to start a lifestyle and wellness, having struggled with how to focus while working full-time. It's a good question. A lot of people who want to start a business will say to me that they really have a hard time focusing on getting the business started while they're working full-time. And here's why. First of all, there's usually some part of us saying, I don't want to be at this full-time job anymore. I want to be doing what I've trained to do, what I really, what I feel passionate about. And so I hate this job and I just want to quit. Don't do that. That's a big mistake. As a matter of fact, in the workshop that I run every year called Speak, Write, and Promote, about building an audience for your work, one of the first things I say is don't quit your day job. That's a huge mistake. Roxanne, what I would say to you is you need to dedicate, just like it is a business. You need to dedicate very specific times during the week. So it might be Monday from 7 to 9 at night. It might be Saturday morning from 10 to 12. Specific times where you work on the business. And I would recommend that you do it at the same time every week, so that it feels almost like you're going into the office, this office called Lifestyle and Wellness Coach Office. And maybe so let's say you were doing that twice a week. Maybe one of the days you're going to focus on getting clients, and the other day you're going to focus on things like your website or marketing materials, or developing a talk that you might give at a local a local yoga center, or a lot of hospitals have wellness centers where they do public programs. So you're focusing on writing your blog or something related to developing your brand and your business. But you've got to schedule in focused time every single week where you'll stay committed to growing the business. And I just find that the more people do that on the same days every week, the easier it is. Most of us are so incredibly busy that the mind loves a routine. So when the mind knows that it can count on Tuesday nights you're going to work on your business, or Saturday morning you're going to work on your business, it starts to lock itself into place, and you'll find that you'll stop beating yourself up for not being focused, not being consistent. Like, I bet this is what's happening. You're saying to yourself, I'm just not focused. I'm not making any headway. I keep saying I'm going to do something and I end up not doing it. I'm not following through. All of that stuff is beating yourself up, which isn't going to serve you. So if you make a date and you hold that date as sacred and you focus on the business, you'll quiet those critical voices in your head, which are really important to quiet, and you'll get a lot more done, I guarantee you. Okay. So let's see. Sean says, I think it's Sean. Hey Cheryl, we met at Movers and Shakers in New York City 6 years ago. I was the guy from England. You taught me so much, and my business is now booming. Do you ever feel like selling goes somewhat against your spiritual beliefs? It's an interesting question. I mean, I'm not surprised by the question, Sean, but here's what I think. I would only feel, so let's take spiritual beliefs out of the equation and let's talk about integrity, which to me is kind of like the backbone of a spiritual life, right? If I feel like I'm selling something I don't fully believe in, then I feel like it's going against my integrity, which is impacting my spiritual beliefs. But you know what? I came to the planet to be of service. And I have since learned that my reason for being here is for helping people to improve their quality of life. And I'm now really good at it because I practice it in my own life and because I've been working with thousands and thousands of people. It would be a shame for me to not share that with people, Sean, for me to not share the essence of who I am and the gifts that I have to offer. I'm not a hard seller. People who've been following me know, you'll get every week when I send out my newsletter, I'll talk about events that are coming up. Sometimes I'll send an email out to my list about events that are coming up. When I do that, Sean, I do it because I feel like I would be doing my community a disservice if they didn't know how to spend time with me or didn't know about Facebook Live, for example. Like if I'm here and I'm available and I'm offering coaching, if I didn't tell people about that, I'd be doing them a disservice. And so I don't think of it as selling. I think of it as sharing important information. Now, if you're, quote, selling something that doesn't feel like it's aligned with your integrity and the essence of who you are, then you're going to feel out of integrity. And whenever we feel out of integrity, we feel uncomfortable about doing whatever it is we're doing. So your business is booming. So I'm not quite sure what you're selling. I don't know who made up the spirit, like the beliefs that it's not spiritual to make money, for example. Today, Sean, I am able to do so much more good in the world because I've worked hard, I've saved money, I've paid off debt, and as a matter of fact, just for me personally, I love being able to share wealth with people. Really, my dad taught me that early on. He would always say to me, always share your wealth. Sometimes it's money, sometimes it's time, sometimes it's both. Oftentimes I affirm the universe is an abundant place. Every day, in every way, I receive more and more abundance that I can then share with the world. And I do, and I enjoy that. So I don't think there's anything unspiritual about being successful. I mean, I do remember a time in my life when I was young and struggling and didn't have a lot of money, and I had a lot of judgment about people who did. And I used to get pissed about people who did. Sorry, this big bird just flew by. I used to feel like just really jealous of people who had more than me, and I would be critical about that. And then, of course, I realized, Sean, at some point that was actually standing in my way. That the fact that I was judging people who had more than me, this is so important. The fact that I was judging people who had more than me let some part of me know that I fed some fear I had of being judged in that way if I had more. And you know what? I'm going to tell you a story, a very powerful story where I saw the truth of this come right up mirrored in front of me one day. So this is many years ago. I had a coaching practice for quite some time. When I started out, I coached people for free while I worked full time in order to really develop my chops and to produce results for people, to give people the gift of my services in the hopes that it would work and then they would tell other people about it. And it was a great strategy. I talk about that strategy in the practice building program. And so I had developed a really successful coaching practice and I was making a lot of money. And prior to that, I had a lot of debt, a lot of credit card debt. I was just not taking good care of my money. And finally, one day I said, you know what? I am not going to struggle financially. I grew up in a family where, we didn't have a lot. My father worked 3 jobs to support my family. And I just thought, you know what? I I'm going to really honor where I came from by really taking good care of my financial health. And so I went out, I remember I got an extra job just to pay off my credit card debt. And I had worked really hard for a long time and it ended up making a lot of money. And I bought myself a car. It wasn't a new car, it was a used car because I just didn't feel like I was in a place financially to afford a new car. It didn't feel right to me at the time. So I bought myself a used car, but Sean, I bought myself a BMW. It was a used BMW, and honestly, I mean, I'll be honest with all of you. The reason I bought it is because the color was gorgeous. I went by the dealership, I saw this beautiful royal blue car, and I thought, I would like that car. And I went in, and I was with my husband, who's a big car buff, and so he knew exactly, what to look for, and I ended up buying this car. I was so excited. I was a little uncomfortable about it. I thought, well, this is kind of flashy, and I don't know, I had I had entered, what used to be my ceiling was now my floor, and I had entered a period in my life where I had outgrown my self-image, and suddenly I had this beautiful car that I had worked hard for, and I was so excited about it, a little nervous about it, but pretty much excited. And I remember, Sean, I took that car out the second day I had it, and I pulled into a gas station to put gas in the car. And I pulled behind this vehicle, up to the pump, behind this vehicle, and a car pulled in behind me. And after I finished pumping my gas, the person in front of me was just sitting there. And I waited and I waited and I waited, and the person didn't move. And I thought, what the heck's going on? This is kind of weird. So I tapped my horn and just looked at him and said, are you leaving or should I wait and back up? And this man got out of his car and he was furious. And he walked right up to me screaming, scared me, walked up to me and he said, who do you think you are in your fancy, snazzy car beeping your horn at me? I'm not going anywhere. You take your little BMW and you back up. You do what you need to do to get out of here. And I was stunned. I couldn't say anything. I mean, I just was like so shocked by his behavior. And he went and he got in his car and I sat there. And all of a sudden, a smile came to my face and I thought, look at this. Cheryl, until you own the abundance that you've worked hard to deserve, and until you really embrace this prosperity that you want for everybody, you will keep drawing people into your life who will judge you for what you have. And by the way, Cheryl, you might also want to look at where else you're still judging people in your life for having more than you have. And it was, I could have walked up to that guy, Sean, and kissed him and thanked him because he just was like an actor in this play called My Life, and he just mirrored for me what it was I was so afraid of. And I pulled out of that gas station and I thought, I'll be darned if I'm not going to own the prosperity that I've created in my life and the abundance of the universe, and I'm going to set about showing people how to do the same thing in their own lives. I'm not going to dim my light. I'm going to shine brightly because that's what I want for other people. So I hope that's helpful. And I hope that whatever it is you're questioning in terms of selling, make sure that it's aligned with your integrity, Sean. And let me know if it is. Just give me another comment so I can see. Hi, Donna. Nice to see you here. So Kisa wants to know, can we talk about divorce or knowing when the relationship is over and that huge transition? So much sadness and fear and so many little ones involved. Oh, I'm sorry, Kisa. Yeah, I just, I don't have children, but I certainly remember what it was like to go through the ending of a relationship and how uncomfortable and scary that was. Here's what I would say, first and foremost. I would absolutely pick up a copy of Debbie Ford's book, Spiritual Divorce. It's a really important book. I used to say to Debbie, that book has changed people's lives. It doesn't mean you have to get a divorce. It doesn't even mean that you've decided that. Just read that book because it's just a beautiful contribution to the planet. So I would recommend that you do that. I would also recommend that I remember doing this, Kisa, many, many years ago. I was in a relationship with a man. We had been together for 5 years. And some part of me just felt the relationship wasn't right, but I couldn't end it. I was scared to be alone. I didn't know what I was going to do in my life. Just all this stuff came up, Will I ever meet anybody else again? Will I ever be in love again? This might be the end. I mean, all those sweet things that we worry about, and they feel so real. And one of the things I did is I know I'm just making a note here. Somebody just put spiritual divorce. Thank you for doing that in the comments. Spiritual divorce. I'll also, I'll put it in the, post it when we're done here. I'll add it to the post. So what I did, Kisa, was I found myself a really great therapist. And I remember I went into her and I said, I'm here because I'm in a relationship and I'm not sure whether or not I should end it. Something tells me that I should, but I'm scared. So I'm here because I want to explore the relationship. Because here's the thing. If I don't deal with my part of this relationship while I'm in it, I'm just going to meet the same guy in a different outfit. And I promise you that's true, because I did. So I said to her, I want to explore whether or not to stay in this relationship. And if, in fact, I need to leave, then I want our work together to be preparing me, helping me to build the courage and the self-esteem and the resources and a plan and a support system so that I feel like if I do leave, I'm going to be okay. So I never said anything to my boyfriend at the time. I didn't have to. It's just good self-care. I just, eventually he knew I was seeing a therapist, but he didn't know what I was talking about. And so I would say that to you, Kisa, that in particular when there's children involved, get yourself some professional support. If your spouse is willing to go to counseling, then I would absolutely recommend that. I love Harville Hendricks' dialogue process. My husband Michael and I used that. We did a year's worth of Imago, this dialogue process before we got married to teach us how to argue in a safe and constructive way, or how to disagree, I should say. We've used it ever since, and we've gone in and out of couples counseling we'll be married 20 years in June, and I'm telling you the greatest gift we gave ourselves was just knowing early on that if we came up against tough situations, we were going to get outside help, and we still do till this day, if we just kind of lock heads and we can't work things out. So if the two of you can go into therapy, looking maybe at the Harville Hendricks dialogue process, he does workshops. If you can get your husband to go, your spouse, your partner to go, that would be an awesome thing to do. Steve Stosny, Stosny. I'm also going to put this down. Steve Stosny. I can't remember his, if somebody could just Google Steve Stosny, Stosny. I want to say his website is Compassion in Action, but I'm not positive. But he runs a great divorce boot camp, and I love his work. Alison Armstrong, I love her relationship work. My husband and I have studied all of these people. Even if you could get, Kisa, your partner to listen to an audio program by Steve Stosny or Alison Armstrong, that would be awesome. If your spouse is not willing to go to counseling, then you need to go and begin to develop a plan. It is sad. It is important for you to look at what you need to learn in this relationship, because if you don't learn it here, you will be challenged to learn it in the next one. The best we can hope for in any relationship is that we have a partner who's committed to growth like we are and is willing to do the work. As a matter of fact, if I was single now and I were dating, I would not date a man who hadn't been in therapy. I mean, when I met my husband, one of the first things I said before we ever met, we were interviewing each other over the phone, and I said to him, before we meet, I have some questions, like, how do you feel about marriage? How do you feel about children? How do you feel about marriage counseling when a couple hits tough times? Have you been in therapy yourself? How long? What did you learn? He asked me similar questions. You know what? It proved to be true, because when our marriage would hit a tough spot, he was right there. Sometimes he was kind of kicking and screaming a little bit about therapy, but he knew there was no way in hell he was going to stay with me and not do some therapy. We had talked about it early on. So if I was single now, boy, those would be important questions. And if the guy didn't have a demonstrated commitment to personal development, I would rather be alone reading a good novel. I hope that's helpful, Kisa. So let's see, what else do we have here? Yeah, that's so sweet. Everybody can just send love to her too. Mary says, any words of wisdom in dealing with a workplace boss that demands too many hours and doesn't necessarily give back in return? Yeah, find another job. Really, unless you can set boundaries and have them be honored. You know, I think about, there was one time I was coaching somebody who was in the television business. And the television business, media, is notorious for basically chewing people up and spitting them out. You pretty much have no life. There's a lot of industries like that. Real estate, I find, is like that. You know, every now and then I would coach somebody in real estate, and boy, if they were doing it full time, it was a 24/7 job, and they were tough clients to coach because, you know, they felt like they had to be on all the time. And there are some industries that really require that. Television is a good example. And so, Mary, I remember working with this woman who was saying to me, you know, I can't keep giving up weekends. I can't keep working till 2 a.m. I said to her, you can't keep working in television. You need to get a different job. So what I would do is I would work on your resume. You can go to Pongo, Pongo, pongoresume.com. They've got lots of great resume examples there. Work on your resume, Mary. You know, start to read up on interviewing. Do some research about, you know, just start a job search on the side. Because if the boss and the workplace itself keeps demanding too many hours, there's not a lot you can do about that except find another job. What you don't want to do is try to make sanity. Let me say it this way. Please don't try to make sanity out of an insane situation. Television was an insane situation for this client of mine. There was no way she was going to be able to have a life with her family and work in that particular job and probably in that industry in the way that she wanted to. And so she ended up leaving. Because you know what? Here's the thing. At the end of your life, your demanding boss isn't going to be at your deathbed going, hey, Mary, listen, before you go, thank you so much for all those hours you worked. Thank you for giving up the weekends. Thanks for blowing off that vacation with your family to get that project done. Like, that ain't going to happen, Mary. You need to be in charge of your own life and make it a priority. All right. Yeah, so Nancy says, due to my husband's job relocation to New Mexico and family responsibilities in New Hampshire, I live half of the time in each state. I'll need to find work that can travel with me. Any good resources for finding remote work options? Yeah, I mean, how wonderful that we live in a world now, Nancy, where there are so many remote options. Anybody listening who has some good website suggestions of, I know there's like elance.com, and I'm going to space Nancy on. What I would do is, well, I don't know what kind of work you do, but for example, there's a company called assistu.com. It's ASSIST, the letter U.com, assistu.com. The woman who runs it is Anastasia Bryce. She used to be my virtual assistant 20 years ago, and she's really smart, and she's created this company that trains people to be kick-ass partners with entrepreneurs. And these people, most of them are women, make really, really good money, and they're well-trained, and they're smart, and they can do, you know, I have two virtual assistants, one in California, one here in Massachusetts. They both work part-time. I only pay them when I need them. And assistu.com might be a great resource for you to look at both their training program. They also have a referral service so that once you're trained, you can join their referral service. And if you're somebody who's looking for an assistant, you can also find one there. So along with that, there is elance.com, and I'm just like totally spacing. I know that other people listening will know of some other freelance websites. There are a ton of them. It really kind of depends, Nancy, on the kind of work that you do. And so I guess intuitively I'm mentioning assistu.com because maybe that's something that you'd be able to do. it travels really well. My assistant Chris was just in Buffalo, New York for a wedding, and she said, don't worry, I'll have my laptop. And she was doing like email here and there in between when it was convenient for her and easy. And it's completely virtual. So there's so many great options. And anybody who has some good resources for her, do me a favor and just stick them in the comments section. That would be great. All right. Hi, Mark. Thank you for calling me a goddess. I appreciate that. Yeah. There you go. Okay. Let's see. Where else? Looking for resources on relationships. So I mentioned Alison Armstrong, Steve Stosny, Harville Hendricks' work. Those people are all fantastic. I mean, just those three people alone, unbelievable. Okay, so Cindy says, hi Cheryl, I'm 63. I've always had dreams and goals, but finding as I'm getting older, I'm losing my ability to dream. I would challenge that, Cindy. I don't know if you're losing your ability to dream. Something else might be going on. It makes me depressed. I feel like time is running out, so why dream of what might happen? I don't want to be this way. How do I stay engaged in life and excited about my future? Okay, great question. First of all, Cindy, the minute somebody says to me, I don't want to be this way, I know that energetically they're reversed. So for you, the tapping would be something like, even though I'm afraid I'll never dream again, I love and accept myself. Even though I feel depressed because as I get older, I don't have the same dreams, I love and accept myself. Even though I don't want to be this way, this deficit dreamer that I am, I love and accept myself. You first want to embrace the reality that things are changing at this time in your life. You know, Cindy, I'm 57, and I just finished my next book that'll be out the end of the year, and it's called Waking Up in Winter, In Search of What Really Matters at Midlife. And it's a book that really, I mean, it's a journal, and it's about some of this, like, it's a period in my life where I began to look at how my goals and dreams and intentions were changing as I got older. And I think that they need to change. For example, this is the first time really in my life where I realized there's certain things I would like to see happen on the planet that I may not live to see happen. I never thought about that when I was 30 or 40 or 45 even. There are certain priorities that I have. Yeah, somebody says 57 is the new 37. I'll take that. I mean, I feel pretty young and alive, but I also am not afraid of being older because I'm wiser and I like what I know now that I didn't know at 37. And Cindy, I see this as a deep, meaningful, rich time in life where there are certain goals and dreams that I had that are no longer going to be worthy of the time that I have left. So is there going to be some grieving? Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of some examples. I mean, there's some things that, I said I always wanted to do that I just probably won't do or may not do because I want to use the precious time I have left here on the planet to do those things that really speak to my soul. Time is running out. That's why we have to be really mindful of the choices that we make, Cindy. There may be a part of you that's grieving the reality that life is changing and that some of what used to matter to you maybe doesn't matter as much or can't matter as much because other things need to matter more. For example, for me, I'm investing so much more in my health, really getting fit and strong because, I watched my dad die and over a long period of time, and I saw what happened when, you lose track of your health and everything just starts to diminish. And I don't want that to happen. So there's certain things that will no longer be a priority because getting to the gym and getting out and walking and getting strong and getting good sleep, these things are all important because I want to be awake for my life. I don't want to sleep through it. And that's what I want for you, Cindy. This might be a time for you to be more introspective, for you to really start to evaluate what really matters to me. Do I have great relationships around me that feed me? Relationships with people who want a two-way street relationship instead of, am I surrounded by people who are always just talking about their problems or themselves? You know, are you practicing presence? Like, do you have a meditation practice so that you can learn to be with yourself even when you feel uncomfortable? Are you spending time in nature? Are there some things that you've always wanted to do that you haven't done? Even more importantly, is there a certain way of being, a certain kind of person that you want to be that you're not yet? Like, I know before I die, I want to feel at peace in my body. I've spent so many years of my life torturing myself by being too fat or being, not looking the way I wanted to look or not feeling the way I want to feel or judging myself for what I was eating or what I was doing or wasn't doing. I don't want to do that anymore. I really want to I'm getting so much better at loving myself. And let that be the dream right now, Cindy, this dream of a beautiful, loving, gorgeous relationship with yourself. I mean, that's what you deserve right now. And let yourself grieve. With aging comes grief. But boy, with active grieving comes a connection to a deep part of you that you'll never find any other way. All right. I hope that's helpful. And you know what? I want to just say, you guys remember how I always talk about putting people on my prayer list? This is my prayer book here. It's my red prayer book. And I'm going to put you in my book, Cindy. And the prayer is that you really fall in love with yourself and you fall in love with this time in your life. And I'm putting Alice in there, and I'm putting everybody else that I spoke to, Mary. All right, you're all going in there. Okay, I hope that's helpful, Cindy. Let's see. Stand up for your life. Please tell us more. Yeah, so stand up for your life is about building your courage muscles. It's about setting boundaries. It's about this. Actually, Cindy, this would be a very good book for you. It's about discovering what you value at this time in your life and orienting your life around those values. It's about living with more integrity and raising your self-esteem by doing the work on the inside. And it's about determining what you need at this time, at any given time in your life, I should say. And then also practically what you need to do in the world in order to be able to orient your life around your values. That's kind of what that's about. Audrey says, I have nightmares constantly. Audrey, the tapping works brilliantly on nightmares. So check out Nick Ortner's thetappingsolution.com and then go onto YouTube and search for tapping plus nightmares. And I bet one of the experts that does tapping will have, because it's so common, I bet that one of the experts will have a tapping video on nightmares. I've watched my husband Michael, who's been using tapping forever too. I remember he was working with a young child who was having night terrors, and like 15 minutes, they ended. They were gone. It's pretty amazing. So, good, Sarah. I'm glad you're drinking water. That's awesome. Pia, you've been on 6 or 7 interviews without success. Then what I would do is I would find somebody who can practice interviewing with you, somebody who is a skilled interviewer. Certainly I would read up about interviewing online. Check out the website interviewmastery.com, interviewmastery.com. And even if you could invest in a career counselor, or depending on where you live, some states, like unemployment offices, offer career services. That might be a great place for you to go, Pia, to look and Google free interviewing resources, because you need to get in front of somebody, and you need to practice interviewing with somebody so that people can figure out whether or not what it is you're doing that may need to be improved in some way. Let's see. Okay. How do you, let me just see here. How do you stop the voices in your head? It stresses me out. Sometimes it's okay, then sometimes it gets the best of me. How do you stop yourself from having verbal diarrhea? It depends, Christy. Are you talking about just you've got a busy mind, or are they critical voices? I talked about this last week, I think, a bit on last week's Facebook Live coaching. Embracing first, asking those voices what they have to teach you or what they're trying to say to you. Journaling, giving those voices a place in a journal, I think can be incredibly helpful. But I don't know. I'd need to know whether it's the critical voices in your head or if you have a busy mind. If you have a busy mind, I would actually go back to what I was saying in the beginning of this session, looking at cortisol levels in the body. Like, do you need, it might be good to just have your cortisol levels checked or your adrenal system to see if there's a lot of activity, stress hormone activity going on in the body that then creates a busy mind. So it really depends on what it is, and I don't know which one. So let's see. Hi, Priscilla from Maine. Maria says, I'm self-employed and everything has taken a turn for the better since I took on a guy called God as my partner. Do you know, Maria, a long time ago, someone told me a story. Here in the States, we still have stores called Lord & Taylor. And I think I put this in one of my books. Someone told me a story that the guy who started that store, his name was Taylor. And he called his business Lord & Taylor because God was his partner. Now, I can't remember whether that story was true or not, but it didn't matter because I thought the idea was awesome. And it really stayed with me. And so, it's great to have that kind of spiritual connection to a power greater than you, and to feel that love and support is just really terrific. I love that. Hola, Claudia. Welcome. Thank you. Hey, Dierno from Africa, Angola. Thank you for being here. I love that we can reach people all over the world. It's just wonderful, isn't it? Okay. Gee, Deborah, I wonder which moment hits so close to home, sweetheart. Thank you for your insight on sharing money and success. It's definitely helped me to change my outlook. Good, so I can continue to do what I enjoy and be of service. Yes, and to make plenty of money, to be abundant, to welcome in the prosperity of the universe. There's nothing wrong with that. You will do far more good in the world the more money you make, the more prosperity you have. I mean, I'm always giving money away, always. It's just a part of, I've learned what you give out comes back tenfold without a doubt. And when I was poor, when I didn't have as my dad would say, a pot to piss in, I remember being in my apartment. My rent was $600 a month. This is a long time ago, probably 25 years ago. And I was terrified. I didn't know how I was going to pay my rent. I think I had $400 in the bank. And I remember, Jamie, I remember standing in my kitchen and writing a check for $5 to a charity because I said, I will not buy in to lack in the universe. I believe in the abundance of the universe. I'm going to share my wealth. And sure enough, not 3 hours later, I got a phone call from a colleague of mine who booked a speech with me for $1,500, like almost 3 months' rent worth. And boy, that stayed with me. And ever since, I always, when I am blessed with abundance, one of the first things I do is look at where I can share my abundance as well. I think it's important that we do that. That's why it's great to make more money, because you can just do more good in the world and you can support more people on their way up as well. All right, let's see. I know I'm almost done here. Yeah, you're welcome, everybody. Yeah, every life experience is a learning opportunity, Amanda. I see life as a schoolroom. Everything that's happened is a chance for me to grow and evolve, especially when you look at it that way. All right. I think I'm going to... Yeah, Nancy says Spiritual Divorce was very helpful. Yeah, it's a great, great book. Hi, Laura from Maryland. Okay. Hi, Elaine. Thanks. This is your first time listening. I'm so... Wow, and you figured the technology out to be here. How awesome is that? Good for you. And thank you for getting my newsletter, which, by the way, let me remind all of you, that's where I announce these Facebook Lives in my weekly newsletter. So if you go to CherylRichardson.com, or if you just look up way up there, you'll see the sign up, the blue sign up button. You can sign up for the newsletter right up there, and you'll know when this is going to happen. each time that I'm going to do it. Next week I'm going to be in Vegas on Saturday for the Extreme Self-Care Boot Camp. I'm excited about that. And I'll be heading back on Monday night, so I'm not sure when I'll be doing Facebook Live, but I'll put it in the newsletter. Angel says, how can I stop employees from gossiping about each other at our business? I'll tell you exactly what to do, Angel. This is a quick one. You get a sign that says gossip-free zone, and you put it at the receptionist desk, you put it on your desk, you let everybody know that from this point forward, it sounds like it's your business, from this point forward, there's no more gossiping. That you want that energy put towards great vision and intention for their lives and for the business, and this company has become a gossip-free zone. I used to have clients do that all the time. It works wonders. Susan, thank you for putting Steve Stosny's website. It's compassionpower.com. Thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate that. And am I blunt, Jessica? Yeah, sometimes I am. Okay. All right, everybody. I'm going to... Yeah, Susan says she's reading The Unmistakable Touch of Grace, and she keeps seeing grace popping up all over the place. Makes me cry every time, as I know I'm being answered. You are. That book is all about how there are no coincidences. And there is this beautiful divine power. This is a great way to end. There is a beautiful divine power available to each and every one of us at any time. And that power has our best interest at heart. I call that power grace. And when you're made aware of that power and you begin to look for it, it shows up everywhere. And sometimes it means that we don't get what we want, but we wind up getting something better down the line. Sometimes it means that at the precise moment when we feel so alone and scared, we get a sign that we are so not alone, that there is divine magic at play in the universe. I still feel that nearly every day of my life, and that's exactly what I wanted to have happen with that book, was to give people a roadmap through the experiments that I write about to show you that you are, in fact, always supported and deeply loved. And that's a great thing, isn't it? It's just such an awesome thing. Anyway, thank you all so much for being here with me. I so appreciate that you've joined me, and I hope that you take something away that will be helpful to you. I'll look forward to connecting with you next week when I'm back from Vegas. There are still a couple of spots left at the retreat in York, Maine at the end of the month, Self-Care by the Sea for women. So you can get more info on my, I'll post it as well. And I will, I'll look forward to seeing you all again. In the meantime, take really good care of yourselves and lots of love. Mwah. Bye, everybody.